సాంగ్స్ నువ్వు
5 years నుంచి నేర్చుకున్నాను.
5 years నుంచి. వాట్ ఈస్ దిస్? పిల్లల పిడుగుల అంటే ఇదేనేమో.
హలో గురు ప్రేమ కోసమే జీవితం.
Is from India, and he's completed his law degree, and is one of the few gentlemen I should say I've come across who has an engineering background and master's background in engineering. Along with that, has a law degree from Columbia University, an esteemed university in law firm. Thank you very much, Santosh, for joining us today and to present your experience and also your thoughts around what's going to be transpired in the next 12 months. And I would like to also thank the IFA to bring forward this to bring forward this platform to you for and also bringing forward a lot of issues pertaining to students and in the process of filing some class action suits. IFA, to give an introduction, this is formed in Atlanta by Indian immigrants. They are in the forefront of all the social services pertaining to any issues related to health, immigration, social causes, and they have a great program that they run every Republic Day and Independence Day, bringing together all the communities and cultures across the board. Notwithstanding to that cultural program, as I mentioned earlier, social immigration and other issues related to United States and Indian diaspora across the United States. From that front, Sunil Savli is also presenting IFA, and ABR Productions is streamlining these program across the board. Thank you very much, ABR. And with that note, I would like to turn it over to Mr. Santosh Reddy to give a brief on the latest changes in immigration and about and what's going to transpire in future. Over to you, Santosh.
Thank you, sir. First of all, I would like to thank IFI team for arranging this call. I know you guys are doing a wonderful job, and thank you for the service that you provide. I'm happy to be part of it. So, by the way, my name is Santosh Reddy, last name SOMIREDDY. I'm the founder of SOMIREDDY Law Group. We're a full-service law firm with offices in Virginia, Midland, and Hyderabad. So my main areas of practice include immigration, litigation, corporate, and employment law. And I do handle USCIS audits, DOL audits too. So without going into much further delay, I would like to discuss the following topics in today's call. The first one would be the proclamation order, both the first proclamation order, second proclamation order. Then we will go through the new SEVP regulations, which would be affecting most of the international students. Finally, if we have time, we'll also go through the June 17th USCIS memo that affects the H-1B workers working at third-party locations. Okay, so the first thing, the proclamation order. So, as you all know, because of this COVID situation, the economy has went south, and a lot of individuals lost their jobs, so unemployment rate has increased. So, in order for the improvement of the US labor market, the president has signed the first proclamation order on April 23rd, which actually bans most of the green card applicants from applying for visa. So the first proclamation order was signed on April 23rd. The second one was issued on June 22nd. The first proclamation order, it actually affects those who are applying for a green card visa abroad. This does not affect anyone who is already in the US applying for green card applications. Again, the proclamation order has certain exceptions for those who are in the healthcare industry or research industry who will be assisting with the in combating the COVID-19 situation, or those who are applying under the EB-5 program, because the EB-5 program is actually going to generate some employment. So they will not be competing with the US labor market. So they also have an exemption. Along with them, citizen spouse, US citizen spouses and children are also exempted from this proclamation order. Okay, the first proclamation order, there is an issue with it. being like a lot of children get aged out because of the, and they would not be eligible for their visas under the first proclamation order. Okay, so on June 22nd, they issued the second proclamation order, extending the first proclamation order with one exemption, which allows the children who are aging out to be exempted from the first proclamation order. Okay, so the first proclamation order has been extended, which was initially for 60 days, has been extended until December 31st, with one exemption provided to children who are aging out. Then on June 22nd, the second proclamation order was issued, which actually went into effect on June 24th, which restricts visas for H-1B workers, their dependents, L1s, and their dependents. So basically, anyone who is waiting to get a H-1 visa, H-4 visa, L1 visa abroad, they cannot attend visa interview right now. Okay, but again, for them also, there are certain exemptions available, especially if they are in the healthcare industry or in the supply chain industry, or if they can show that their employment will actually facilitate the speedy recovery of the US economy, they could also be exempt from this proclamation order. So although it bans H-1B visas, there are certain exemptions which can be used, which would qualify somebody to get a visa. So one of the main exemptions that would be applicable to most of the Indians, especially those who are working in high-level positions like project managers or team leads, right? So if they can somehow prove that their employment would actually create more jobs in the US if they are present here, then they could be exempt from this proclamation order. And who decides whether they're exempt is the visa officer. So once the consulates open, there is like you could attend a visa interview, and if you're able to convince the visa officer that your entry into the US would actually facilitate the growth of the US economy and thus reducing the unemployment rate, then there is a chance that you could be eligible for a H-1B visa. Okay. Again, this proclamation order does not affect anyone who is already in the US. So those who are already in the US on H1 or H4 or L1, L2, right? It does not affect them. They can still go ahead and apply for their extensions, and there is no regulation that the offer does not affect them in any way. So one thing I want to make it clear, during one of my calls the other day, somebody asked me, hey, my wife is actually stuck in India. She doesn't have a H4 visa. Can she come here on a V1 and then change her status to H4? Okay. I'm clearly warning you against this one, because the proclamation order clearly states that anyone who bypasses the order, okay, by misrepresenting themselves, could be put in immediate deportation, removal proceedings. So, for example, if somebody is on H4, like somebody is on H1 and their wife is stuck in India, okay, now they cannot get H4 visa, but there is no restriction for B1 or F1. So B1, B2 or F1. So some people are thinking that, okay, I can apply for a B1, B2 visa, come here and then change the status, right? So I highly warn against doing this one. So please be careful, because if they see that you are misrepresenting at the time of entering into the country, then you could be put into deportation, removal proceedings. Okay. And again, this is all a temporary thing, guys. So the agency is going to review the proclamation order 30 days from June 24th. And every 60 days, the proclamation order will be revisited and there could be some modifications made to it. Again, as we all know, US is a country of innovation. So they cannot survive, the market cannot survive without high-tech workers, right? Mostly H-1B workers. So definitely, there will be certain changes coming in the near future, which will provide more guidance and will be more lenient towards the H-1B workers. Okay. Do you have any questions on this portion before we get into the next topic?
Thank you, Santosh. People are joining in, but if you could classify, how would this proclamation impact F1 students, and then for H1, H1 workers and green card applicants. So shall we start with F1 students?
Yes. So the proclamation order in itself does not affect the F1 students, but there have been some changes that have been like to the SEVP program that were announced yesterday, which would be pretty soon entered into the National Federal Register. So that would affect the students. Typically, in order to maintain an F1 visa status, student must be enrolled full-time into a school, right? So they should take 3 subjects, which is like typically 9 credit hours, unless there are certain exemptions provided by their DSO in limited circumstances. And most of these courses have to be taken in person. Okay, there are certain exemptions available if the university has a program wherein a person could work and study, but those are very limited. But typically, the course has to be done in person. With this COVID situation, a lot of students could not attend. So in the spring 2020, the SEVP, Student Exchange Visitor Program, has announced that students are allowed to take online courses and still maintain their F1 visa status. This has been extended to the summer program also. So in spring 2020 and summer 2020, students can take complete online courses and still maintain their student visa status. Okay. However, to our surprise, yesterday SVP has issued a new memorandum amending these accommodations that were provided for the spring and summer semesters. So basically, the new memorandum states that, okay, universities cannot have any F1 students, okay, if they have complete online programs. So maybe this is part of the president's agenda to open up the universities. So basically it says that, okay, if a university is offering complete online courses, then the students who are enrolled, F1 students who are enrolled into the program will be violating their status, and that they cannot remain in the United States. So if a student is taking full online courses, then they cannot stay in the country. They are not eligible to get visa stamping. They are not permitted to enter into the country if they have already traveled outside and trying to enter back into the country. This will actually go into effect for the fall semester, which is going to start in a month or so. Okay. So students who actually violate by staying in the country while taking the online courses could be put into remote proceedings. So this is a very big issue. Okay. So unless your university is offering some in-person courses, we recommend that you either leave the country or transfer to a university which allows in-person classes. Okay. Again, as long as you are like, even if you have to, like, for example, there may be some good students who are going to good universities which are completely offering the courses online. Okay. Those students can actually travel outside the country. And if you don't want to, like, especially if you don't want to change university at this point of time, then you can go out of the country, continue the courses while staying in India or anywhere abroad. And they are not subject to the 5-month provision, which would typically terminate someone's service if they are outside the country for more than 5 months. So typically, if a student is outside the US for more than 5 months, their service is terminated. But in this COVID situation, that regulation does not apply anymore. So as long as the COVID-19 situation is there, they can stay outside the country for more than 5 months and still maintain their service, right? As long as they are taking some courses and working towards the completion of their coursework.
Thanks. Go ahead, Sam. I'm sorry.
One last thing before I get to the other portion of it. So again, the student, when taking these online courses from abroad, right, they don't have to register full time. If they can somehow show that they are not able to take full time, like all the 9 credit hours because of the limitation due to like internet access or the non-availability of the courses, right? So they can even take reduced coursework and still maintain their service while studying from abroad.
Okay, good to know. There's one question that came across from Vedant. So if the university is ready to give the residency class in fall semester, is there any issue? Currently, summer semester is online.
There is no issue. So if the university is willing to give in-person classes for the fall semester, then they are fine. And even in that one, right? So there is an option where you could take one course, which is 3 credit hours course, through online. So if you're taking 2 in-person classes and 1 online course, then you're fine. Okay. And again, some of the universities are adopting the hybrid model, which is typically a mixture of online and in-person classes. Okay. So especially a lot of CPT students would be enrolling into these hybrid model schools. And for them, there is a little more relaxation. So in the first model, like that, in the other model that I discussed, they can only take 1 course online, right? So in the hybrid model, you could take more than 1 course online, but the university has to attest on the I-20, clearly stating that the beneficiary is not taking all online courses, okay? And the beneficiary, like when I say beneficiary, the F1 student is not taking anything more than the minimum number of online courses required towards the completion of the program.
Yeah, cool.
Okay.
We've been hearing quite a bit from you about hybrid model. What is the minimum requirement for a hybrid model? Does it vary from university to university, or is there any USCI stipulation on that? That what are the minimum in-person courses, that percentage of in-person course that the students should be attending?
Okay. So when I say this hybrid model, right? So in this hybrid model, typically the schools would have subjects wherein the individual will have to gain certain practical experience, right? There's certain practical experience working for any other employment. So typically like CPT students, right? So for them, as long as a CPT program is an integral part of their coursework, okay, there is no restriction as to the number of courses, okay? But again, there have to be certain number of online, like in-person courses also. So I know there are a few universities that offer in-person classes for like 4 or 5 weekends in a whole semester, okay? It is still valid as long as they can show that it's an integral part of their coursework.
Okay.
Yeah. So there are a lot of universities like that. Again, it is those universities are using certain exceptions within the regulations to run.
Okay, cool. So it is university by university if they can justify.
It depends upon the curriculum, the course curriculum that they have.
Yeah.
But typically, to be a full-time student, you're not supposed to be taking like more than 1 or 2 online courses, okay? Oh. But there are certain universities which have developed programs which make it an integral part.
Oh.
When they get credits for even working outside.
Awesome.
Right? So for those people, it is not required that they attend in-person classes like for the complete for all the courses.
Oh, that clarifies quite a bit on that one. There's one question on the OPT one, day 1 OPT one. Mm-hmm. Their question is more towards if there's 1 in-residence class and 1 online class, is it okay? And I think with your answer earlier, it depends on how university justifies their curriculum and how it is, right?
Yeah. So I'm assuming that he's referring to day 1 CPT, right?
Yes.
So for day 1 CPT, yes, they are adopting the hybrid model. And if they have 1 online course and then 1 in-person course, they should be fine.
Oh, cool.
Okay. Yeah. Even with the regular university also, there is an exemption provided for 1. If they have only 1 online course per semester, they are fine.
Awesome. That's good to know about it. And that should be clarifying quite a bit for students on the current requirements based on the SEVP that's been sent out, the new proclamations. Can you, with the given pandemic situation coupled with economy and the administration focus, what could be the challenges with the H-1B workers across the board? I mean, are they better off, working in reputed companies or the companies that have really product orientation, or is there any ramification or any constraints that they would come across if they work in the traditional model or the flexible models that are out there as far as their ability to retain H-1B?
Good. So first of all, for H1, most of this is for all the H1 workers. The situation that we have right now is all temporary, okay? And there is no way that the US market could survive without having the H-1B workers. Whether they are working in a full-time position or whether they are working for any consulting firm, they should be fine as long as their skill set is required, okay, in the US market. Okay. Right? And especially with this new memorandum, with the USCIS memorandum that was released on June 17, which makes it much more easier to get H-1B approvals and maintain their status, like for H-1B workers working at third-party locations. So this is very much, advantageous for IT consulting firms, wherein they do not have to prove all the elements for the right of control, as well as to prove the availability of specialty occupation work for the complete duration of the project. So as long as they are able to prove that the project exists at the time of filing the petition, and then they should be fine to get the complete 3-year approval.
Cool, great, good
So
news.
that changes everything. That changes the whole dynamics, even for the cap cases, right? So we have filed a few cases wherein the purchase orders were actually expiring in October. And for those cases also, we received 3-year approvals.
Wow, that's good news.
Which is not typical.
Yeah, and this sector has been challenged by immigration authorities for last 5-6 years, if I can remember. And that's a great news across the board for H-1B workers. Thanks for clarification on that. So alluding to the point, how does the green card, or is there any temporary ban, or deferring the process of granting the green cards has been in place? That's why there are some rumors around that. Is that true, or is there any truth to that rumor?
So currently, the first proclamation order, it does have a direct effect on green card applications, where the candidate is applying for a green card at the consular visa, whereby if they're going for a consular visa processing, then their green cards are affected. But those who are filing for adjustment of status here, their green card applications are not affected in any way because of the proclamation order. But pretty soon we could be seeing more audits on the PERM applications, because last year there were very few audits when we filed the PERM application, but I'm sure in the next coming months we will see more audits on the PERM application side, because the employer will have to prove that they were not able to find a US worker who is eligible to perform these job duties, right? So, but now with this higher unemployment rate, there is a high chance that we will be seeing more audits. But other than that, I know we had the same situation even during the economic downturn in 2008 also, right? And this pandemic situation is not going to last forever. It's just a temporary thing. Once we have the vaccine in place, the market will bounce back. Oh. Okay? So, yeah, for a limited period of time, the PERM applications could get affected. But as of now, the H-1B market, so most of the jobs that are typically occupied by H-1B workers are not affected. I would say maybe 5 to 10% got affected so far. So I don't think there will be any major changes to the green card process in overall, because if they have to make any changes to the regulatory process, they have to go through the Congress approval and all, which is not an easy task to do. It's not like a proclamation order where, they cannot issue an executive order on this one.
It's more of a process. It's more of a temporary lull in this process, I believe. So it's a
And I'm
passing.
hoping that once we are past the elections time, everything will settle. Because there is no way that the market, if they stop the H1B workers, the market is going to crash.
Yeah.
Because none of the tech giants can operate without the H1B workers.
True.
Right?
True.
Which they would never allow that. Already, we have been seeing a lot of projects being shifted overseas because of the unavailability of H1B workers.
True. Yeah, I mean, given the economy is more oriented towards technology, and technology sector is the forefront for American growth.
They need more high-skilled workers, and without H1B workers, it's very tough.
Yeah. And the consistent message from you across the board I hear is this is a temporary passing cloud. Adhere to some recent stringent applications, especially around F1 students. Adhere to that. There are better days ahead, and the students, they don't need to panic as long as their universities are able to justify their online courses, especially with respect to OPT and CPT. And for the master students and bachelor students, it depends on the university norms and how they translate, and they should adhere to those conditions.
Yeah. And also the universities, right? Most of the universities are dependent upon the funding that they receive through the from the F1 students, because F1 students are the ones who pay the maximum amount of fee, because most of the US citizens would either pay in-state fee or no fee, right? And especially with the current situation, the state governments, when the state governments are not able to collect much taxes, so they don't have sufficient funding for the universities, right? Okay. So without F1 students, it will be very tough for the universities to operate. Okay.
Yep. And there's one question from Ravi Teja. He has one course left and is planning to take that in the fall semester. Does it affect him in any shape and form, or should he postpone that one for another semester or so?
Okay. So in his case, I would suggest that he stay in the country, not leave the country. Because he has only one course, right? I'm assuming that it's a thesis. Is it a thesis, or is it a course?
Ravi Teja, that question goes out to you. If you can type that in our chat window, we will follow up on that one. The question is it a thesis or a course? It's for you. If you can type it, we can follow up on that question.
So typically, if it's a thesis, right, and they have to, anyways, they will be working with the professor and getting the, it doesn't require an in-person classes, right? So they could be exempt from all this stuff, and then he should be able to complete his thesis.
Oh.
Is it a thesis? Did he reply?
Right, it's a capstone. That's what he's saying.
Capstone. What does it mean by capstone?
What does it mean by capstone, Ravi? If you can clarify that. Okay. So while we are waiting on that, do you have anything, Santosh, that you would like to add on what course, if they end up in this problem, let's say hypothetically speaking, I mean, and not in a happy path, more often than not, we end up in this problem when there's in the state of confusion. If they end up in a situation where they are, they violated one of these conditions or laws, what would be the best course of action for them?
For them, so here's what I would suggest doing. First of all, if there is a chance to take an in-person class, take it. If not, if it's only one course that he's waiting on, there is an exemption for one course anyways. Right? So he may be able to still continue the course, or if it's a thesis, then he doesn't even have to worry about it.
Okay.
Right? Because it doesn't even require a in-person class or an online course, because he'll be working with his professor to get the course done. And again, there is definitely there's a very good chance that there could be an injunction on this memo. They may not be able to implement it, especially because the US, like the US citizens would also get affected by this order, because especially for master's level courses, most of the US citizens, they would be working full-time and attending classes, okay? It is not possible for them to stay on campus and continue their master's courses. For them, they definitely need online courses, okay? So, but the universities cannot sustain themselves by offering online courses because they will not have enough funds to run the school without having the F1 students. So the universities will have to adapt to this one and allow in-person classes. But this will negatively affect typical US citizen because their health would be kept at risk, and it is an irreparable damage for them. So there's a high chance of them being able to get an injunction.
Okay.
Because they might have already enrolled in certain, classes. They might have completed a couple of semesters. They cannot take a break now, right? And in order to continue studying, they either have to attend in-person classes, right? Or drop the semester, which is not possible. Like, so since they'll be incurring irreparable harm, they have a good case, okay? Again, even F1 students have the same situation, but these cases can be filed separately and both of them have standard.
Okay, cool. Yeah. And capstone seems to be a project that he's working on.
Yeah, if it's a project, then he doesn't even have to worry about it, right?
Yeah.
Because he'll be working directly with this professor and it's not even a class. Like it doesn't need an in-person class. That's why I asked. Thesis is, same.
Yeah, thesis and project are one and the same. So thank you very much for the clarification, Santosh. Guys, we are waiting for your questions. Please feel free to drop in more questions. Mr. Santosh has taken some time out of his busy day for us here. So there's one question from Ram Krishna. My wife is in Canada with Canada PR, and we have scheduled for H4 visa, and it getting postponed all the time, and my GC date has become current. What is the best way to bring her out to USA?
Okay. Good. So unfortunately, right now, there are no options available for H4 visa holders, not even for those who have US citizen children. Okay. I know some of them are thinking about coming here on a B1, B2 visa, which is allowed right now, and then changing their status. But I clearly warn you against doing this. Just wait for a few more days, let things settle down. I'm 100% sure that once we are done with the elections, things would change. And they may definitely give some exemptions for H4 or H1B workers who have been here for quite some time. Okay, they might temporarily stop like new H1s from entering into the country, but those who have been already staying in the country for a longer period, right? Those positions are not easy to be replaced by any US worker. So definitely they will make some exemptions for such people and their dependents. So for now, I would just say, just hold off for some time, let things settle, and hopefully in the next 60 days or in the next proclamation order, they might make some modifications to it, which would allow H4 visa holders to enter into the country.
Great.
I'm hoping that at least they will ask them, because their main concern is taking away their jobs, right? So if they can ask the H4 visa holders to sign a document or something saying that, okay, they will not apply for H4 EAD or compete with any US worker for a temporary period of time, then, but again, we don't know whether they're going to implement something like that, but definitely there will be some changes coming in the near future.
Apparently, this gentleman, Ramakrishna, has his green card has become current. So maybe he's under impression that once his wife gets here, he can file for green for it for her as well.
Yeah, unfortunately, that's not an option available. He cannot even request for consular notification for her, because even that is. Even the proclamation order is affecting the getting green card outside the country also. So yeah, he's right now, as it stands, he's out of luck for a temporary period of time. But again, things will change soon. But again, Ramakrishna, I would not recommend her to come here on a B1, B2 visa if you're thinking about that option. Especially because of the fact that you have been here, and then she would be applying for the adjustment of status. I don't want you to take chances right now.
Thanks, Santosh. You've been very candid and honest, and you're not fishing for any business here. That's usually, but you've been very honest. I mean,
yeah. So in general, the way it works is if a person enters here on a B1, B2, and then changes their status after 90 days, then their intent is the intent will not be questioned, right? But here, in this case, since the husband is already here in the US, right? So even if they file it after 90 days, there is a good chance that they might question her intent, saying that, okay, she was just trying to enter on a B1, B2 to avoid the proclamation order.
Yeah.
Right? So, and now that his visa, like green card application is also current, I don't want him to take any chances now.
Sure. And the follow-up question on that is, like, what if he gets a green card before his wife gets here? Would you like to get a detailed counsel on that one, or is it a good platform to answer that?
Yeah, so there are two things here, okay? If Ramakrishna's H1B is currently valid for at least 1 or 2 years, right? Then maybe he should just wait to file his adjustment of status, okay? Because there's one issue here, like if he is trying to extend his H1B, and if the prior date is current, he cannot use his I-140 to extend.
Yeah.
Because he's eligible to apply for adjustment of status. But if that's not the case, maybe you should just wait for some time, or you could file for adjustment of status here and then request for consular notification for your wife so that she can go for green card visa stamping abroad. So you would just file for IA-24. And then request your CS to send the notification to the NV's National Visa Center so that they will allow her to attend visa interview abroad. When I say visa interview, green card visa interview abroad. And once the proclamation order is lifted, then she'll be able to attend green card visa interview.
Sure. Thanks. That answers Ramakrishna is happy. And back to Ravi. Ravi, you've been working on a project. Counsel Santosh has already mentioned that you could keep on working on the project. You're not in no danger because you work with your professor directly. It should be good until you finish your project. That's his suggestion earlier. And Santosh, do you want to add anything on that one?
Yeah, in his case, I don't see any issues, especially if he's just working on a thesis or what did he say? Capsule, right?
Capstone project, yes.
Capstone project, yeah. So he is not, he's enough, he doesn't have to worry about anything. And so he can apply once before he's done with his master's, he can apply for OPT and then continue with the process. So for him, he is not in, like, this is not a major concern for him right now.
Yeah, sure. Thanks, Ravi. Any other things, I mean, like if they run into problems, Santosh, is there a way to reach out to you or,
Definitely. So the best way to reach me is by email. My email address is info@somireddylaw.com, SOMIREDDYLAW.com. Typically, I reply to all my emails within 2 to 4 business hours, so you should be able to expect a reply soon. So that's the best way to reach me.
So there's one more question from Rohit. So as a new student, he's going to join the college on F1 visa this fall from other country, I mean, probably from India, obviously. So should he join the online courses or and come back on in fall 20 or later in the later semester? Or what is your suggestion?
Good. So actually, apart from this memo, the SEVP has released some FAQs which exactly answers this question. So I don't know, is he right now in the US or is he still in India?
So his statement says that from India, other countries.
Okay, so he's currently in India, right?
Yeah.
So if he's currently in India and if the university is offering only online courses, then he's not eligible for visa. he cannot enter here. Okay, but if he has already paid the service fee and all, then he can use it for the next 12 months. Okay, so if he has not paid the service fee, if he has not done anything, then maybe he should just wait. Or even if he has paid the service fees, then it will be valid for 12 months. And unless the university is offering some in-person courses, he cannot attend visa or come here.
Okay, cool. So Rohit, one of the couple of options Mr. Santosh has mentioned is you can delay your classes until you come here, and universities do allow 12 months time to use. If you have already paid up a semester fee, you can use it within the 12 months.
Service fee.
Service fee.
Yes.
Service fee, sorry, not semester fee, service fee. So those are the options that you have. So if you have any further questions, please post there. He says that he's currently in US, but I want to leave India for fall. So
he's currently in US. Yes, he has the option of going to India. There's no restriction as such. So and if the university is offering online courses, he can still maintain his service. So or if the university is forcing him to attend only in-person classes, and if he doesn't want to do that, then he can take a break. Okay, and the 5-month requirement, like the 5-month requirement that typically applies, does not apply during the COVID situation, as long as he's working towards getting his graduate, like completing his coursework.
Okay, cool.
So even if he travels to India, he can still maintain his service, but he has to be a little more careful. He has to discuss this with his CSO, and there are different options available wherein he can still work towards the completion of his coursework and maintain his service while in India.
Okay, cool. That answers Rohit's question. There's another question from Harita. When does embassies will open abroad, allowing to get stamping? Any news of this? Will it be done by 2021 or before?
I don't have an answer for that. I'm hoping that they should open soon. But again, we don't have a solid date on that one yet.
Okay.
Because the Trump administration does not have any, they don't look at it as an incentive to open the embassies. They are looking at opening the market here, but not the embassies. So it's not their main agenda right now.
Yeah. So that answers our question. Any other questions, guys? I think we are at the top of the hour right now. So we still have some time. But Santosh, one question always that's in most of the immigration community here is there a chance for green cards to be expedited? Is there any thing in the works? I mean, Trump has been telling most of the times about skill-based immigration and other things, but is there anything to solve this problem? Right now, it looks like people will retire with the green cards.
What really helps is if they could remove the per country limit. Okay, the regulations as it stands as of today, right? Every country is allocated only 7% of the total visas available. And fortunately or unfortunately, Indians feel like those citizens from India, or when I say citizens from India, those who are born in India, not just citizens. So for example, if a person is born in Saudi or some other country, which would not actually give them citizenship, right? For example, and there could be certain Indian citizens who are born in Saudi. They could be counted towards the Saudi country of chargeability. Yeah. Although they are Indian citizens, we can use Saudi's cap for that. Because they look at the country of birth and not the citizenship, country of citizenship.
Okay. That's a good point. That's a very valid point. No, the passport.
In the passport, okay? So because we had few cases where the beneficiary was actually born in Saudi, but they would have an Indian passport because Saudi doesn't allow them to become citizens, right? And they can apply for adjustment of, like they would be eligible for the Saudi country of chargeability. Okay, Okay?
Yeah.
And also, if the husband or like if one of the spouse has an I-140, approved I-140, and has a spouse, the other spouse was born in any of these countries like Saudi or wherever, right? They could use the spouse's country of chargeability and apply for adjustment of status.
Okay. Oh yeah, that's a very valid point actually.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, right now there are certain discussions about removal of the per country limit, which is good, but more than that, I would suggest that if they bring in certain regulations wherein anyone who has an approved I-140 would be eligible to apply for adjustment of status instead of waiting for the priority to become current, that will actually solve the problem, right? If by removing per country limit, it does affect certain citizens like those applying from different countries negatively. For example, all EB2s will be taken away by Indians. So nobody from Mexico or any other country will be able to get any EB2. So they will be negatively affected and they might oppose the bill. But if there is a regulation wherein anyone with approved I-140 is able to apply for adjustment of status, so that they don't have to worry about their H-1B status, then most of the issues will be solved. Because once you're able to apply for adjustment of status, get an EAD and advanced payroll, it's like having a green card pretty much.
Yeah.
Right? This will solve a lot of issues. So I'm hoping that like agencies like IFI should lobby for that. And I've been asking for the same with other agencies too, but I don't know, for some reason they're only stuck on the per country limit, removal of country limit, which is not easy to be replaced.
Yeah.
Right? But this is something which can be done much easier and it will not affect citizens of any other country.
Yeah.
Right? Because it's not like they're taking away the visa number. The visa number is still available for those countries, but at least you don't have to worry about maintaining your status, H1, H4 and all this stuff, and you're able to work freely.
Yeah, that's a fair middle ground approach. And
this is something that we can lobby and get it a little more easier than asking them to just remove the per country limit. Again, if they remove the per country limit, that's the best thing that can happen because everybody can get a green card easily, right? But at least if they're able to file for adjustment of status, get their EADs, advanced payroll, that will solve the majority of the issues.
Sure. I mean, that's a win-win situation. If Sunil Savli, if he's in the call and you would like to add some comments on that and what you're doing on that, and if you have any questions for Santosh, your participation will be very much appreciated. Sunil, over to you.
God. Sorry. Yeah, no, we're good. Thank you very much, Santosh, for your valuable information. And by using this platform, I would like to urge all our F1 students, in fact, all the students from all the regions and all the parts of this world, do not panic for the situation. We are behind you and we are here to help you guys. And we are planning to file a lawsuit against this order. But we need your help in this regard because you guys need to register your name on university and know which semester you are, how many semesters you finished. This information will be very confidential and we are not going to use your name against any lawsuits. So do not worry about any of those things. We need your information just for the quantification sake. How many students were affected from each region, each country, and each university, and how many students were affected? This quantification and this number is very much important for us to file these lawsuits. So don't hesitate anything. And again, I'm repeating one more time that your information will be very confidential and you're not going to be part of any lawsuit. All these expenses and everything will be incurred and taken care by IFA. And of course, I'm taking the liberty, Santosh, that you volunteered and voluntarily helping us and helping our fellow citizens. And on behalf of IFA, I'd like to sincerely thank you for your efforts.
Yeah, and students, since IFA is coming forward to help each one of you without, they don't have any interest, their only interest is to protect your rights and then your career, right? So you need to help them by providing the necessary information so that they can fight on your behalf. Especially if we are able to file this as a class action lawsuit, then you have a better chance of winning the case. This will not only help you, but other students also who are similarly situated. So I highly recommend that you share the information so that you can proceed with the litigation.
Yeah, that's a very good point, Santosh and Sunil. Across the board, you have heard the message from Sunil and also from Santosh. Please feel free. It only takes a couple of minutes, and we are lucky enough or fortunate enough for this gentleman to come forward and fight on your behalf, and probably pull in more resources and multiple organizations to take this forward. And we appreciate you joining our call. And thank you very much, Santosh and Sunil, for organizing this, and Anil from ABR Productions to channel this message across the globe. Please feel free to reach out to SANTOSH Reddy SOMIREDDY, the counsel, and his information will be forwarded to you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Pawan.
Thanks.
Thank
Thanks,
you,
everyone.
Anand.
Good luck. Bye-bye.
Suhag Jewelers, timeless jewelry for generations.
Tech Insurance Agency is fully dedicated for IT companies, providing employee benefits, business insurance and visitors insurance. For medical benefits, we provide group medical plans, group dental plans, group vision plans, life plans, AD and D plans, STD, LTD. Info at 512-917-8686 or www.techinsurancinc.com.
She forcefully put me in music. Oh, baby! I love this song. I'm obsessed with it. Like, it's a problem.
ఒకటి ఒకటి రెండు రెండు మూడు మూడు నాలుగు నాలుగు ఆరు ఆరు ఎనిమిది ఎనిమిది 10 లోపు 9 ర్యాంకులు మావే అని పేపర్లో ప్రకటనలో ఒక పక్క అదే పేపర్లో ఇంకో పక్క కూలిపోయిన ప్రభుత్వ కళాశాల భవనాలు
నాకు కొనుక్కునేవాడు వాడిని ఏదో ఐఏఎస్ చేద్దాం ఐపీఎస్ చేద్దాం చాలా ట్రై చేశాడు నన్ను వాడు 10 ఏళ్ళు భరించాడు తర్వాత
అక్షతోన్ముఖమక్షయం ఈ అక్షరం అక్షితరిచే అక్షతోన్ముఖమక్షయం ఈ అక్షరం
ఎప్పటి నుంచి నేర్చుకుంటున్నావు సాంగ్స్ నువ్వు?
5 years నుంచి నేర్చుకున్నాను.
5 years నుంచి. వాట్ ఈస్ దిస్? పిల్లల పిడుగుల అంటే ఇదేనేమో.
హలో గురు ప్రేమ కోసమే జీవితం.
It will stir up my life a lot and drive me towards music.
జాము రాత్రి అబౌట్ ద బెడ్ బట్ ఇంకా చాలా నేర్చుకున్నాను.